Well. Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. A very early start to the weekend morning over here from Helsinki, Finland. Want to be wishing you well. Want to be wishing you the best, the happiest of the happiest. And we got plenty to talk about actually today. A lot of Bitcoin action, and kind of feels like one of those weekends where something might actually be brewing in the background. So with that said, let's waste no more time. Get in the live stream right here, right now. Pressing the button, teleportation initiated. And what do we have on over here? Always starting out with the Bitcoin daily and Bitcoin above all major moving averages, as it has been for the past 3-4-ish days, which, you know, was my impetus for holding these longs, actually creating a new long, which apparently my derivative is not over here. Let me just bring it on into visual view, as very good to, very important for me to verify. And these are my positions, long from 39.30, long from 51.85, and then I basically went cash last night before I went to sleep. So with that said, you know, I always want to be very open and transparent with that, just because I feel like, you know, when you're talking on the YouTubes and stuff, there's no sort of regulating agency or anything like that. You know, when I was in traditional markets, there was FINRA, there was the SEC, and you can go see verifications on that on like brokercheck.com or whatever the fuck it is. But in cryptocurrency land, there's nothing like that. So I think I do think it's quite important to show that, and more importantly, just, you know, show that like I'm doing what I say I'm doing, which, you know, for better or worse, has been the play. Anyways, Bitcoin above all major moving averages, and that is quite strong. We do have the golden cross. The golden cross is getting more and more divergent. So you're seeing the green 55 really lift off from that purple 200, and to me, that's telling us that this is strengthening. Not only that, but we do see the yellow 21 exponential moving average. And what's up, Kevin Schauberg, good to meet you, man. We do see the yellow 21 exponential moving average actually getting a very aggressive upward slope. The second that this crosses the blue 377 exponential moving average, this is going to open up the doors for this run to actually evolve much higher. Now, that's for a more intermediate time frame look. You know, that could be a week, 2 weeks away, whatever it ends up being. More importantly, we could very easily have a pullback into this area in the more short term time frame. So I want to look at this area now as a major pivot, this 5300-ish to about 5400-ish area. That is a major pivot for Bitcoin, and that means that Bitcoin is kind of like built a base here, and while it can come back down and tag it, I would look for this to be strong support going onwards and forwards from here. You know, depending, you know, I mean, now we're talking about a little bit, you know, further out. So yes, if Bitcoin were to pull back, I would be looking for, you know, buys in this area, major buys in this area, most likely. Of course, it's not financial advice. I'm not financial advice. It's just kind of sharing exactly what I'm thinking in these exact sort of same situations. Bringing up our oscillators, we do see daily Stokes headed back up, very erect, just getting past the neutral zone right now, and that is looking good to me. Again, this was a beautiful setup, because remember, we saw these daily Stokes go down while price action was essentially flat and then floated up, which is a very bullish setup. So that was kind of the impetus for me the impetus for me thinking, because you can never truly know that it's time to really play the golden cross out here. And so that was why I was getting long along this yellow 20-month exponential moving average, and now I'm just holding it as long as, you know, as long as we're kind of living above that. I don't really see any reason to close for a more like trendy trade, so to speak. So that's kind of how I'm managing it going forwards. I'm sure that a lot of people are talking about the lack of volume on this run. You know, this is fine in my opinion, as Bitcoin kind of just slowly trudges its way forwards. In fact, if we go to the 12-hour, it does look a little bit more impressive actually, as this past 12-hour right over here was indeed a breakout. Anyways, go down to the lower time frames. I like to go to my BitMexican chart right over here, and we did actually get that move down that we were looking for last night, tagging 5600 or 5615. Let me put on my drawing tools, almost right around here. I said 5600. It got down to 5615 and a half on BitMEX. Close enough is close enough. Again, just has to be in the range. Got picked back up, and now we're grinding the highs once again. Exactly, as stated last night. And I don't say these things to come off as arrogant or like I knew this was going to happen. No one knows what anything is going to happen. It's just this was a decent play to be making based off of, you know, a support to resistance to support flip. And this is how you can make trading easy for yourself. Like, do you need to go through years and years of trading to understand horizontals? Probably not. And fortunes have made trading just that. So I want to show like how simple this can be if you let it. Now, of course, if you did take that trade, make sure you get out and you don't get too fucking greedy when you get $200 in your pocket right over here on a retest of this resistance, because I don't believe that we're breaking this resistance anytime soon. Probably going to put in a lot of time going sideways here in the lower time frames. And but medium time frames, higher time frames, they are bullish. Don't get me wrong about that. They are very bullish. But lower time frames could very easily have a nice pullback, and And while we did get that tag of 5,600, if we were to come back down to 5,600, I would not be a buyer. I'd actually be looking further down here, right around about 5,500, for some decent buys for a nice bounce as well. And then I think that we'd actually probably continue onwards and upwards and probably take out this trend line here, which has been governing our highs ever since beginning of April. So the last, the last month. This is a whole month of price action right here. That's pretty crazy. Still be the impetus for rejection. So you will see that it is rising over time, and that means that naturally you get higher and higher over time. So the more time that Bitcoin spends going sideways here, the more and more time that this has to evolve upwards and onwards. Now, here's the thing: if you are bearish, here's what you're looking at. Here's what the bears are looking at. They're looking at this as a broadening wedge, which is that valid? I mean, technically, it is a valid broadening wedge. Do I think it plays out like a broadening wedge? No, actually, I don't think it plays out like a broadening wedge. The volume signature on this would not be correct for a broadening wedge. And also the fact is that, for me, moving averages come first, pretty much. Moving averages come first. That's what I spent the most time learning. That's what all my mentors taught me. That's what I found to work best. And that's what I'm most comfortable with, more importantly. And a setup like this is a bullish setup. When we are trading above all major moving averages, yes, we don't have the divergence and stacking them in the way that you'd want to see, but this is kind of like the early evolution of this. And with the way that we kind of operated right over here, and that actually looks a lot more impressive on BitMexico. The volume on that past run, I think, is completely fine. And this is to be considered a breakout, not a bearish distribution pattern. I think that people looking at this, people who are going to be bearish anytime in like the next month to 2 months, 3 months, whatever it might be, probably going to be on the wrong side of price action, to be quite honest with you. The only way that I really turn bearish, switch up bearish, is if we lost the 21 exponential moving average, which is currently now at around 5250, and found our way down below 4,900. That's where I think things would start to really change around, but I don't really see that right now. At least that, of course, anything can change, but that would be my trigger for switching around my general outlook. For now, we're not really doing that. As long as we're above 4,900, I don't really see, from like a longer term perspective, some sort of bearish wet dream of getting down below 4,000 right now, as I'm sure a lot of people are purporting. Going over here to the 2-day, we do see that the 2-day 200 simple moving average also providing the impetus for rejection. I really like this one right over here. The 2-day chart seems to get things a lot better than the daily, actually, and that's why I kind of say that yes, Bitcoin likely does grind this area out. I do think that we're going to have a further retracement down at some point, maybe test like 55, and then we'll give another test towards the 200 simple, and probably break it. And I do think that Bitcoin, works its way higher from here. Yes, this is pretty strong resistance, but and on first pass, it's likely to reject. But after a little bit of consolidation, a little bit lower, I would be looking for this to get retested again. And yes, I do think that actually breaks. We do see 2-day Stokes having kind of a similar setup to what we saw in the daily Stokes actually not too long ago, where the 2-day Stokes are headed down, right? And they've been heading down ever since the 25th of April, which was right over here. So they've been down, 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 down. They haven't even crossed up yet, but Bitcoin price action has been moving up. So this is once again another bullish setup. We do see the 2-day RSI regaining the exponential moving average right over here. Now we have two competing narratives with this. Yes, that's a good thing for the more immediate price action, but longer term, keep in mind it's going to be very easy to get some sort of divergence on this chart, as we got pretty damn high in the RSI not too long ago. And of course, I'm not here to say that RSI can't go higher, bro. That kind of shit. No, that's very naive thinking. But what is actionable and what does work is the fact that it would be, it's just difficult to get the RSI back above this area. So you're going to create divergence just by the nature of that. So the second that we put in a local top, the second that we confirm a local top, that's the divergence spot's going to take on over. And I really have to be very adamant with saying this, because a lot of people just want to call everything divergence. No, you have to wait for a local high. If you don't wait for a local high to decide if it's divergence or not, you're going to think everything's fucking divergence. You're going to be some sort of divergence fuckboy, and it's silly. It gets so everyone calls like every little move is now divergence, is what I see on crypto Twitter. It's kind of funny, or from what I see on crypto Twitter, as I don't produce it all that much, so maybe I'm giving it a bad rap. Going over here to the 3-day, let's go to a chart that has more price action history. We do see 3-day Stokes getting, I think we got a new tick on that last night. Yes, we did. We got a new tick on this. It's actually gaining more momentum to the upside. Again, though, another cautionary signal saying, hey, while I do think that this does continue on some more, this area has not been too kind to Bitcoin in the past. So it can spend some time in there, no doubt about that. But again, it's just another signal saying, hey, if we, I would like to see a little bit of consolidation downwards, reset some of the higher time frames, and then we can continue onwards and upwards. 3-day RSI looking fine as well. Again, it's needs to take off over here, otherwise we will be creating divergences. But here's the thing, and what I really want to stick to on the higher time frames, 5,800, or whether you call it 5,800 or 5,850, whatever you want to call it, this white simple moving average right over here, also confluent with the rising tops that we saw on the daily. This is very important. If Bitcoin can break above this area, I do not believe it's going to stop at 6,000. You'll probably have some lower time frame sell off at 6,000, but as far as judging a daily, 2-day, weekly, I don't think that you're going to stop at 6,000. I think that it's going to be a pretty fucking fast rocket towards 62 to maybe even 6,400. Somewhere in that range would look about right to me. So going back on over here, we do see that if we put on the volume profile, where is it? There we go. Yeah, volume profile showing that we're kind of in no man's land right now. And even at the 6,000 level, there's still nothing there. Where we start to, actually have, people doing fucking business is right here, right around 63 to 64. I guess the technical term for this is high market acceptance. We are currently in an area of low market acceptance, which usually allows price action to rip, which, breaking above this kind of last line of defense at 55, as we saw the other day. The path of least resistance to the upside here. So I do like that. We do see the 3-day 200 simple getting, way up there, actually right around 7,000 nowadays. And I might have to sneeze, so I do apologize with my raspy lesbian voice as much as I can, but might have to do some very nasty sneezing once again. So yeah, we do see the point of control coming in right smack dab at around 6,400. So if Bitcoin does break this 5,800-ish resistance, which is really nothing more than just the lows of, it's not just nothing more than the lows of 2018. I mean, that's a significant thing. Don't get me wrong, it's fucking significant. But if we do break that area, I don't think that we stop at. Everyone's talking about 6,000. No, what's likely to happen is we actually overshoot that. You're going to see a lot of people try to be geniuses and heroes being short at 6,000. Unlikely. That is unlikely to be the right play. What's more likely to be the right play is that we actually shoot up a little bit higher and we don't get a full on consolidation downwards. Counter trend move until we probably get into 62 to 6,400-ish range. So everyone's saying the same thing. What typically happens? Well, you either front run it, which I don't think happens right here, unless we're quite literally front running it right now at 5,800. Possible. I think that is less likely though. I think it's certainly less likely. Or we overshoot it. It's very rarely at that area. 6,000 being this. I mean, it wasn't even really 6,000 the support of 2018. It was really this area right here, kind of like the last line of defense at 58. 58.50, which we're currently grinding out. And I do think that we pull back off this area on the first pass, as you've seen. So I do believe that this, has a little bit more down to go. But remember, last night we already got the play that we were looking for. We got the retest back down to 5,600, and then we got $200 up, or actually more than $200 up. Well, now's the time to kind of be a little bit more patient, especially on a weekend. I don't really like trading on the weekends. I probably won't make any changes to these positions. What I'm more likely to do is if I have to do anything, I will do it with options. So what I'll do here is actually, it's actually quite simple. Because of what we're looking at, there's two ways to handle this. I can either sell some in the money puts if we start rallying, or I can sell some calls against this long stock down here if I do feel like we're going to consolidate and spend some time lower. I think that that's a less likely thing to happen. What I'm most likely going to do is I'll either add spot lower, or what I'll do is if we actually break above 5,800, I'll sell those puts and cover up those and cover up the short stock. And I won't get the full move, but good enough is good enough, man. And it's more about just capturing, making sure that the money train keeps on rolling, as I really dislike putting on spot positions during the weekend time. Anyways, we should go back down to lower time frames. Let's go back to the hourly, which the hourly seems to do pretty damn well on the weekends. Let me get rid of this. Let's put back on these trend lines here and bring them up. So hourly Stokes headed back up. Do we come back up and test 5,800? Probably do come back up and test 5,800. I mean, you can see that what Bitcoin is trying to do here is just create a series of higher lows. And what are we going to create? Well, basically an ascending triangle, which if we actually do play this out, will be the impetus for breaking 5,800. I don't think that that happens. Actually, I think what's more likely is we pop back up here, grind this area out, and then we actually end up breaking this down, and then we come down and refuel a little bit lower. That's what I think is a little bit more likely to happen. We do see that hourly jewel looking a little bit weak, technically a little bit on the weaker side. Hourly RSI not telling us too much. Again, the hourly chart's not going to get all that much. We got the 4 hour right over here. 4 hour does have some bearish divergence present. Usually when we get bearish divergence, I like to see a test back down to the 21, which is where right around that 5,500-ish target, which actually adjust right now to accurately represent where this one is. It's going to be right here in this block. There we go. Sometime over the weekend that would look nice. Again, this will be initiated if we actually break 5650 to the downside. 5650 broken to the downside. I do not believe that will hold off of 5600. I believe that we will come down here to 55 and then probably have a much more impressive bounce down around there. Going over here, let's look at 4 hour Stokes. 4 hour Stokes coming down after getting way up there. We haven't seen this sort of signature on the Stokes since, a long time ago, man. A long time ago. Very rarely do we get that, only in extremely strong trending moves. Let's go over here to the 8 hour. 8 hour chart's actually been decent as well recently. Provide, again, a nice switch to the upside here. 8 hour Stokes going to be crossing down. I do think that regardless of how we kind of act, this does want to refuel a little bit lower, reset these guys, and set it up for, Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when CME's open back up, which we're going to talk about in just a second. Do I want to talk about the 12 hour? Yeah, let's talk about the 12 hour. 12 hour Stokes getting way up there as well. Again, this kind of has been the area of resistance actually. And these actually have been very good at getting price action overall. So kind of getting back into this resistance zone, I would be a little bit more cautious here than anything. 12-hour RSI, been trending away from this exponential for so fucking long. I mean, usually it doesn't like to spend that long away from it without coming back and retesting it. And just another thing saying, hey, this isn't the time to be aggressive. This is the time to be cautious. Not aggressive, but caution. Okay, so let's go check out CME. So CME is going to be the next big trade in my opinion. And I would go as far as saying that I don't really care to open. I don't really care to open any trades until CME opens back up. CME had a very good close on Friday, extremely good close on Friday, well above this 200 exponential moving average, making new highs along the way. Not only that, but the weekly has taken out the prior high, and yes, we are at the 50 exponential moving average. So and grinding this area out. So more importantly, to me, what we're likely to see on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time is the next trade that I'm looking for is judging where spot is in relation to where CME is closed on Friday. So if spot is trading below where CME is closed on Friday, when they open back up on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'd probably be looking to be a seller for a scalp short. If spot is trading above where CME is closed on Friday, when it comes to Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, if they're trading above, I'll be looking to be a buyer on the gap fill somewhere around 57.15 and looking for a continuation onwards and upwards. And that would probably be a more trending move, although typically these are usually just, to be considered as scalps. Overall, this is starting to look more and more constructive. Again, I do like the volume on that last pop that we saw. And CME, again, just seems to get the price action better. Do we have any bearish divergence here? We do not. We do not have bearish divergence on the 4 hour. What about the daily? Daily, no. Again, need to confirm a local high. We have not. Daily also regaining the exponential on Friday. I do like that. Very wrecked over there. From CME perspective, it looks to me like we could have a pop back down to 55.50-ish area, give or take, and then continue onwards and upwards is what it looks like to me. We do see daily Stokes on CMEs doing the same thing, and this is so damning right here. We see the Stokes shoot down ever since the 25th of April. Well, this is the 25th of April right here. So this is again just allowing the oscillators to reset for a week, or more than a week, and then move onwards and upwards while it's just faintly crossing the upside at the neutral zone. That's fucking bullish to me, man, and that wants to continue onwards and higher. That's probably going to be the impetus for breaking this 58.50-ish area, of which, if I put on my drawing tools, we can see very easily right here, just the lows of 2018. People are going to be selling there just by the nature of it. But it looks to me like Bitcoin probably does take it out over time. How long does that take? That's anyone's guess. That's not really what technical analysis is about. Technical analysis is about finding those triggering points and then working off those, finding workable trades off those. So yeah, going back to the weekly here. Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, a little bit of a wonky chart, but I do consider I do consider this kind of a similar setup to what we saw in the 50 simple, and I've been barking about this a lot recently just because I see so many people talking about this, but a lot of people are referring to the 50 simple as like this one's gonna stop Bitcoin for good and it's never coming back. It's like, no, that's wrong. Again, when you see price action like this, and this is like classic moving average bullshit, or it's not bullshit, but classic moving average just knowledge from traditional markets. When you have a consolidation like this at a major resistance, that's a bullish consolidation. When you hold it in like this, if it was going to be bearish, we would have sold off after this first doji dildo was put in right over here, which is kind of what you see an immediate reaction right over here, which is what everyone references in 2014, 2015, or right over here. The reaction is immediate. The reaction is immediate. Right over here, no, we spend about a month grinding this area out. That's fucking bullish, especially when you're creating higher lows along the way. I mean, it's very silly that, just... Again, people read like an article on what is it called, fucking Investopedia, and think that they, think that that's going to be right. Well, no. There's a lot of contingencies with these sort of things, and to me, this is your classic bullish setup. Actually, when you see a consolidation like this at a resistance, that's fucking good. So anyone saying anything other than that is like very questionable. Maybe they have their reasonings. Maybe they know something that I don't. But well, then again, price action's moving up, so fair enough. Anyways, so yeah, it's a very big deal that we also took out the prior week's high, because this could have been considered a reversal dildo right here. Same thing with this guy right over here. Your technical dildo setups, right? Like a doji dildo, a spinning top dildo, a shooting star dildo, whatever the fuck you want to call it. More importantly, we took out the high of that, which is a sign of strength. And what does this also do? Well, now the 50 simple moving average is going to become a massive base as well. And where it's at, coming in around 54.20. So it's going to be, it's actually going to be angled down a little bit for a little bit of time. It's going to take a few weeks for it to actually get just a neutral slope and then a positive slope. So it'll probably be coming in right around that 5,400-ish level, 5,350, whatever it might be, which to me is now the big base for Bitcoin, based off the daily moving averages, based off, just our consolidation, and then also this 50 on the weekly as well, which, yes, the simples do hold weight, and I do put a lot on them, but not as much as exponentials. And there's a very specific way to use them, not the way that I think most people think that you're supposed to use them. And I'm not trying to sound arrogant here. It's a lot of people are going to be losing a lot of money on misinformation when you don't have to. Anyways, okay, let's see. Let's put on the Bollinger Bands. Yeah, this is also going to be a big deal. Does Bitcoin close above or below the top Bollinger Band by end of week? Now, last week we had a little bit of a fake out. Usually when you get a setup like this, you do come back down and test the median Bollinger Band. We did not get that. And more importantly, we never got confirmation of that because we never took out the low of this dildo at 49.91 and 42 cents on stamp. Now we're actually taking out the high. So this is a fake out, and more likely a fake out. And I would imagine that on a weekly scale, we're going to get continuation. But again, this is talking about a weekly scale. So this, not happening today, not happening tomorrow. We need to get a new week first before we even see some continuation, right? But overall, assuming that we do close above 55.50 by Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, I would be bullish for another leg up next week. To put it quite bluntly, next week I'd be looking for another leg up, likely into 6,000. So I can make a call like that, but I need to see the weekly set itself first. If we close above 55.50, that is a critical point. If we do that, then yes, I'm looking for a move to about probably like 62 to 64. So yeah, looking at our oscillators weekly stock still getting way up there. Again, just another cautionary signal. We don't know how, they can certainly spend some time in here, but last time they were up this much, this was December of 2017 at $20,000 price per Bitcoin. Same thing with the RSI, spending way a lot of time away from this exponential. So again, just at some point it will want to come back and just give it a little love tap and make sure. So yeah. Then I also want to speak specifically to this right over here. Let me get this on. Let me get those Bollinger Bands off. Disgusting. Get these beautiful exponentials back on. Beautiful. And there we go. Get off this 50 as well. Okay. All right. So three day chart, right? And the Jewel has been damn good at calling these tops, right? Calling each and every time that it signals red in the background and the light blue oscillator gets into the more critical zone above this 80 marker, preferably into the 90 zone. That's where these really nasty drop-offs happen, and then gets a negative slope. That is where we have called some really nasty dumps. I mean, this one, 50%, this one right over here, 70%. These are parabolic tops, so I'm not really like, not always going to be like that, but more reasonable examples would be like these guys over here, right? This one over here, like 44%. This one right over here, 37%. This one right over here, 34%. You get the idea by now, right? You get the idea. It's around 30 to 40% when it gets those three signals. Well, we actually got those three signals not too long ago, right over here, right? Where we get, red, but the light blue oscillator only got very shallow into this area. It didn't get deep like the other ones into the 90 zone. It only got to like 82, which is a sign, which now I know is a sign of strength of how powerful the signal is going to be. Now the signal actually did, to be fair, play out about 11.5% or 12% down, which is good. That's definitely good, but not nowhere near the 30 and 40% that we saw before. Now we do have an example of kind of this sort of setup right back on over here, where the light blue oscillator just gets very shallow into this more critical zone, but gets all the other three components. And what do we have here? We have a nice downwards move of like about almost 12% as well. But here's the thing: after that, the light blue catches the pink and uses it as support, and then we get a move deep into the 90 zone, and that's where we get this very nasty drop off. So Bitcoin actually went up 67% from that area and then dropped down 35%. Now, am I saying that Bitcoin's going to go up 65% from this current area? I don't really think so, but what I do think is likely is that if we do get picked up here, which I do think that we do, we're going to march this one back on higher, and we're going to get a similar setup to that. So the next time that this light, if you have access to the Jewel, watch out for this one. If we catch this pink right here, and we start moving upwards and onwards into the 90 zone, that's going to likely be the big signal for like a 30 to 40% drop down. Now, how high does Bitcoin prices get before that actually happens? We have no way of knowing. A lot of damage can be done before that happens. It's going to take a long time. This isn't going to be a signal anytime soon. If that does happen, it's still going to take like 2 to 3 weeks most likely. But you get my idea, right? You get the point where if you see that happen, that's going to likely be a major signal. So again, just keep your eyes on that. If you have access to Jewel, make sure that, that's one of the things that I want to have marked off. In fact, what I'll do right now is I'll put in a little bit of an alert right around this zone, only for this time frame. And next time that we get in there, which again is not happening anytime soon, that's when I'd be looking for like a major pullback. And the thing is that this is kind of consistent with what we're looking at on this chart right now. We haven't seen any major pullbacks in a very long time, and that is in a way a sign of strength, but it does imply that when we do complete this formation, we're likely to have a pretty massive pullback to kind of make up for the lack of pullbacks prior. Now, is that a scientific way of explaining it? Fuck no, it's not. But you get my idea, right? You get the idea. And actually, while we're here on the 3-day and the 2-day, we do see that the 200 exponential coming in where? Right around 53.50. And the 2 days, same thing right over here. So this area is a base now. As long as Bitcoin is above it, it's just not like looking for like big bearish trades for like massive moves to the downside. Just not appropriate in my opinion. Now, can you scalp a short? Yeah, absolutely, man. There's been some good scalp shorts in the last couple of days. Sorry, not the last couple of days, but the last day. You can't tell me that 5,800 to 5,700 within the span of a few hours isn't bad. It's worthwhile. It's actually been kind of fun to trade Bitcoin recently. I've been trading a lot more. Or a lot more actively recently. Okay, cool. We spoke about all of that. We spoke about CME. Let's go check out GBTC just really quick. GBTC 7, keeping it high. Again, GBTC does look like a rejection off the 377, which, I don't know how much weight I put on GBTC anymore, but would suggest that we're coming back down to test 680. So that would be kind of confluent with coming back down on spot charts to test like, I don't know, maybe like 5450, 5500, something like that. But you do see that on GBTC. We don't see that on any other charts, and I don't believe that GBTC holds as much weight anymore. So I do want to leave it at that. What about the weekly? Weekly had a weekly had a really good close. Weekly had a very good close actually. Weekly looks like wants popped back down a little bit lower and then probably gets picked up and then tries higher. Is what it looks like to me. So yes, I feel like I missed something. Oh yeah, let's go talk about the crypto fear and greed index. And then we'll talk about the longs and the shorts. But crypto fear and greed index, we're actually ticking out at 66. So, is this thing kind of ready for a pullback? Usually when we get in this zone, it's kind of demonstrative of, more top areas. Not always. As you can see, we spent the last month in this zone, and very little. I mean, yes, we did have some 10% moves in that zone, but nothing that you expect from before, like a 30 to 40% move, as we've been seeing when we get up in this range for the past year. So yeah, we are spending some time in here getting comfortable. But it is a little bit of a warning sign in the background, just saying, hey, traditionally speaking, this isn't the time to get too greedy. Let's go check out the longs and the shorts as well. We have about 30,000 open longs versus 18,000 open shorts. 4,000 these guys are hedged, so we got 26,000 open naked shorts versus 18,000 open longs. The great imbalance between these two, and I'd imagine that the shorts are actually pretty hurting right now. But here's the thing: is that this is kind of it's not just so cut and dry, right? Because we do have the FinEx situation and the New York Attorney General going after them. Also, CFTC and the SEC have open investigations, so it does seem like a ticking time bomb, to be quite honest with you. Especially after the new information came out that FinEx has some dealings with fucking drug cartels or something like that. Who knows if it's true or not? It doesn't matter. Just the fact that sort of information is coming out shows that the New York Attorney General is very serious about this. And if they're very serious about it, well, they can get you, even if you might not be so guilty. So yeah, of which, FinEx is probably not the cleanest of all the angels in the world. So yeah, shorts over here. A lot of people are going to be putting on shorts on FinEx just because maybe they don't want to transfer their Bitcoins out. Maybe they're doing some sort of specific strategy, and they would rather just cover their account exposure rather than go to Tether or transfer out for whatever reason. I also know that you can't transfer fiat out of FinEx right now. So maybe they're doing it by that metric. But here's the thing: looking at the shorts, look at the short daily interest. It is a little bit on the higher side, 0.04, I'd say. It was all the way at 0.1% a week ago, which is incredibly high. That's where you're going to be paying $6,000 to $8,000 a day to hold $1 million in contract position. It's it adds up, right? Right now that you're going to be paying about half. That's $3,000 to $4,000 per day, maybe a little bit less than that. My mental maths might be off, but overall, these people are not just underwater, but they are paying to be underwater. So a lot of these people getting short right around here, right around the 21st to 22nd of April. While on FinEx, price action was right over here in this zone, right around 54 to 50 to 55. So that's also kind of a major thing, is that even if Bitcoin did have a pullback, which it seems to me like a lot of these people are actually still holding on their positions, they're probably going to try to get out at break even around that area. So that kind of just adds on to the to the argument that this is going to be a base. And it's going to be the same thing with spot as well. I know that that's not versus Tether. That was versus dollars. This one over here is going to be versus dollars as well. It's going to be the same area, 5350 to 5400. A lot of people are going to be stuck in that range. If we do get a pullback, as long as these guys hold their positions, they're going to be buyers right around there. And that's also perhaps indicative of just the general market outlook as well. Like people in other exchanges, it's okay. These are, never mind. I don't even want to get into discussion because honestly, at the end of the day, is this my first way of looking at things? Fuck no, it's not, man. Fuck no, it's not. Anyways, let's go check out the other top shitcoins. Or actually, first, let's go look at traditional markets. Closing the day very strong. Holy fuck, man. The market that just does not go down. Do you have an opinion on this? Overall, I'm bullish on it. But the thing is that at some point, I would be looking for a pullback. We got my target yesterday at 289 and a half, but I'd really like to see it come back down and test 285 at some point. I would have been wrong on this one if I was trading this one yesterday. I would have been looking for a move down here. Now, of course, it's the same rule that I have on Bitcoin. When you have the golden cross right over here, the green 55 and the purple 200, I'm not bearish as long as you're above the yellow 21. And this is why. You just don't know how crazy these things can get. Even when my opinion says it looks like it's going to go down, this one says stay long. We're above all major moving averages. It's just like Jesus. What more do you want in your life? The weekly close strong. Monthly is also bullish. The monthly is incredibly bullish. Looking at this, fresh stoke across the upside, holding the 10-year lows, going all the way back to September 09 on those stokes. And as we approach a major resistance, making new highs along the way, I have to be bullish on that on the higher time frames. It's the lower time frames that make me a little bit apprehensive. We do see weekly over here getting really fucking high, but that's okay. It will be high in a trending move. What about 3-day? Looks fine. Daily, again, looks okay. I mean, this is just strength, man. This is just strength. I guess it's not until we break the 21 where I can start to say, hey, we'll have that come back down to 285. But man, I've been looking for that for a while, and I would have been wrong all the way up. But again, this is why I have my rule, and this is why I do not trade my opinion. This is why I trade technical analysis, which says stay long. There hasn't really been even a one-off since this area right over here. We had a little bit of a trap, then up. There you go. Anyways, let's go check out Mr. Butyrol and Mrs. Litecoin. Mr. Butyrol hitting my target right around 180. Nice, not bad. But what about the fiat pairings, the actual dollar pairings on GDAX? Yeah, not getting the same sort of love, but I do think that this pullback right here is likely to be bought. Yeah, this one did move up to my dollar target right around 170. We got about 75 cents off. That's close enough for me. Coming back down to base on the 21, I do like that. I do think that it gets picked up here and tries again higher. We do see daily stokes getting up and gaining momentum. We do see daily RSI regaining the exponential on this. I do think that this one does try higher as well. Let's look at the weekly. Weekly's in a weird spot though. Weekly could very easily turn bearish. It's going to depend on where we close at Sunday 8 p.m. Eastern time. If we close above 159. If we close above 159, I would be bullish for a move higher towards 175 and probably beyond. If we close below 159, I will probably be bearish, looking for a move probably somewhere down here actually, 140. So the stakes are high right now. Probably going to do whatever Bitcoin does, as most things do. 4 hour looks like it wants a retracement. Does 4 hour look like it wants retracement? I mean, if I was looking at the daily, I'd be bullish off this. This is your classic comeback in Tesla 21. I'd be looking for continuation onwards and upwards. 12 hour. Yeah, this one's a little bit shaky. If this one does break down, next target's going to be down here, right around 153 and a half. I give it the benefit of the doubt for now. Here's what I can say. Hey, if you see the daily close below 161, or if you even see maybe a 4 hour dildo close below 161 or 160, then yeah, I'd be looking for, what is going on up here? Then I'd be looking for never mind. All right, there we go. That if we close like a 4 hour dildo below maybe like 160, then yeah, I'd be looking for this to come back down, test 156 at the very least, and then probably the low side of the range at like 153 and a half, as we just said. But my first read would be this area gets picked up and we try higher alongside the rest of the market. Litecoin, what's Litecoin doing? Same thing here. If this thing pops back down to 74, 75, I'd be a buyer right there. Or sorry, 74.50, I'd be a buyer right there. Daily stokes getting up. What about weekly? Yeah, weekly's still coming down, but the weekly has taken out the prior week's high, so I do like that setup overall. 4 hour, yeah, again, kind of getting rejected from the 200 simple, so it is struggling. If it does break down, very obvious target's going to be 73 and a half for a bounce. But personally speaking, usually on the daily, this is a buy when it comes back down to that $74.50 region. I'd be looking for a bounce there, and then the game begins. Then we decide, okay, do we get continuation towards the $83 mark, $84 mark, or do we or do we actually fail this area? I think it's more likely that we get continuation here, but it's going to take some time, most likely. Let's go check out the other top shitcoins. We got Cardano over here. Just struggling its way through again. Weekly is very bearish, very fucking bearish. I'd say 1100 is a legitimate target. As I've been saying for a while, this one really struggling. I have a very difficult time being bearish while you're kind of like trending along the 200 simple like this. But right now it looks like it kind of wants to break. So the second that we take out the prior day's low at 1174, we're probably going to head much lower. Like I said, 1100, or sorry, it's even below 1100, like 1080-ish area. Doesn't look good. What else we got? BNB cone. Yep, popping back down. What do I say about this one? Yeah, this one, again, a little bit more of a difficult one. It's really going to depend on where the weekly closes. The thing is that this one, if this one does pull back, it's going to pull back a lot. It's going to pull back down to like $18.50. But are we ready for that right here, right now? I think what's more likely is that we do see this area pop back down to, did we take out? No, we did not. Likely pop back down to test the 21. I wouldn't get bearish on it until we actually break the 21, and that's at $22. So if we do come back down to $22, I'd probably be looking for a bounce play there. Right now, just consolidating at a high, which is usually a very good sign. And if we do break $22, then I'd be looking for a first target of $19.50 and then second target and a big bounce somewhere right around $18.50. For right now, though, still being very resilient in this area. Very impressive chart. Daily Stokes just heading down. Same thing, while price action is essentially going sideways. I mean, this is a bullish consolidation more likely than anything. So if we did come back down to like 22, maybe even 22 and a half, it sounds crazy, but it probably is a decent buy. It's not until we actually break $22 where this thing does start to crumble a little bit more. Like I said, $19.50 would be a target after that. And then, what was it, like 18.5? Zcash, regaining this area right over here. Yep, looks the same as all the other shitcoins. About $68 probably. I'd be looking for a target. Weekly resistance right around 70.25. Again, gonna do whatever the rest of the market does. Bcash hitting our $300 target. Nice, smashing actually a little bit more through it. I do think that if it comes back down and tests like 272, 273, probably going to be a buy and probably does get another try higher. Again, another major consolidation at a major resistance. Usually good things happen off that. Weekly is fighting very strongly here, and I do like that, and I do think that this one does probably try higher. Again, going to depend on what Bitcoin does. Probably just going to follow it. So if Bitcoin goes higher, you're going to see that thing go as well. Tron really struggling. Tron. I'd only go off the weekly for this one. If Tron ends the weekly above 24.5, I'd be bullish for a move higher towards, probably towards this region like 2.7. If we end the weekly below 2.45, then I'd be looking for a move lower towards about 2 cent even. So again, the stakes are high right here, kind of at a major decision point. Does look like a rejection to me. I do think that the downside is more likely for this one, but again, it's like if the rest of the market goes up, is this one going to go down? Probably not. Neocash, similar setup here too. Neocash looks like it wants to come back down and test 990. We hit our $11, almost $11. I think we got to 1080. Maybe I can't claim target hit on that one. I do think that this one does come back down and test like 990 or some weeklies resistance. Again, if the weekly closes below $10, I'm going to be bearish on this one, coming back down somewhere to like low, like 8.25. EOS Cash, what's EOS doing? Probably comes back down and tests like $5.07. I'd be a buyer there for a bounce. Weekly, okay. Not too inspiring, but okay. 4 hour looks like it wants to dip a little bit lower to about $5.07. Let's go check out Mr. Ripple Me Nipples. What's he doing? Another rejection. Just another rejection. Actually did hit the 31.5 cent target. Nice. Not bad, but getting rejected pretty harshly from it. Weekly looks very bad, man. Weekly looks very bad. I do think that this one is overall bearish and probably wants to break sooner rather than later. We do see weekly Stokes actually headed up while price action has been flat to down. The opposite logic applies. That's bad. That's a bad setup. Again, likely to go with the rest of the market, but to me, looks like it wants to pop back down and test like 30 cents even. Monero. What's Monero doing? 69. Great number, Monero. Monero, one of the stronger alts, it looks like. Again, grinding a major resistance. I like this setup. I do think that it breaks it. I do think that it breaks it to the upside. This is a good setup. Longer term target would be somewhere right around like $87. Longer term. Stellar Cash, what's Stellar doing? Same thing as Mr. Ripple's Nipples. Not looking strong here. Looking like a rejection more than anything. As long as it's below 10.5 cent, really bad. Don't like that setup. If it can actually take out 10.5 cents by end of day, okay, then we can talk about a move back up to like 11.25. But coming under pressure here. coming under pressure again. Ripple and this thing seem to move together, and weekly's right under resistance. But here's the thing: I don't like being short off. I would not be short here either. It's not until the 200 simple breaks, which is all the way at 9.25, that I'd actually be like looking for a short trade down to like, maybe the 6 cent region. But I think it's more likely that we bounce this area right here. I think it's more likely that we bounce it. To me, Stellar probably works its way higher, alongside the rest of the market, of course. All right, back on to Mr. Bitcoin. Let's start to wrap this bitch up. Let's go through the lower time frames first. Lower time frames, yep, I do think that Bitcoin's grinding this area out, but I do think that it probably does come back down, test 56. I don't think that 56 holds. I think it's more likely that we come down around here, right around the 55-ish area, and that's where I'd be looking for an actual legitimate bounce. For now, how long does it put in time here? Probably most of Saturday, I'd imagine. And then I look for a retest in these areas, somewhere around like 50, maybe even a little bit higher than this, like 55, 50. Maybe it's a little bit more like this, actually. The more that I think about it, I do think it is a little bit more like this in this zone. If we did come back down to this zone, I do think that we'd have a much more sizable bounce here. However, that also means if 5,500 breaks to the downside, we're likely to see back down to 53. So this is kind of a critical pivot right here. As long as the weekly is above this area, as long as the weekly closes above this area, I am generally bullish for Bitcoin, looking for more immediate continuation. If Bitcoin breaks this area, I'm still generally bullish, but I'd be looking for a further retracement back down to 53. And I forgot to talk about this as well. We completely forgot to talk about the monthly, but just go over it very briefly. I've done it enough already, so probably people are aware of it. But monthly, this is a great setup right here. The monthly 21 exponential moving average getting taken out with last month's dildo. It's the same logic that we had if you were around when we were looking at March monthly right over here, where Bitcoin took over the March, and we were waiting for it all month. And I said, hey, if Bitcoin takes this area out right over here, we're going to go deep into the 4,000s. We didn't just do that. We got into the 5,000s, and I would have been bearish if we closed below. Well, we closed above it, and again, that was one of the reasons why I held on to this position right here, the position that keeps on giving, and kind of same logic with this one right over here. We're above the 21. We're also being cradled by the 10 simple, and that means that, as from a higher time frame perspective, as long as we're above 49.50, there's no real reason to be like immediately bearish from a monthly perspective, which is kind of like an oxymoron, right? Like immediate, and then you're talking about a monthly, but you understand what I mean from that sort of time frame perspective. To me, this looks like it wants to continue upwards. We got monthly Stokes crossing the upside, although the last time that we did have a setup like this did kind of turn into a rejection, although this is a different setup though, just because Bitcoin regained the 21 over here, Bitcoin did not over here. And again, if you're not familiar with this, this is what I used in traditional markets to judge if we were generally bullish, generally bearish. You can kind of backtest it with Bitcoin. The second that Bitcoin lost the 21 in 2014, 2015, that's when the downtrend became extremely aggressive, when we got shoved on down to our red dildo capitulation death, and tested it 1, 2, 3, 4 times before taking it onwards and outwards. And look at this, the second that we took it out to the upside here, perfectly timing your bullish momentum strongly up from about $250 to $20,000. So it's pretty damn good. Yeah, we also saw the accumulation distribution indicator. I'll show it one last time. Probably going to be the last day that I show it for a while. But the accumulation distribution indicator on the monthly, back towards a positive slope, so I'm generally bullish on the monthly right now, for at least another month. Going back to Bitcoin lower time frames and going back on over here, to wrap this bitch up, we spoke about what I'd be looking for the lower side. Of course, the upside as well. I suppose it is possible, although I think it's a little bit less likely before coming back down and testing a little bit lower. Is if we do break 58, let's call it 58.30. If we basically take out the high of today's dildo at 58.40 on BitMEX and adjust for exchange, it will be different. Then yes, this resistance will break, and we will likely see into the 6,000s. I'd say 6,200 to 6,400 is going to be very likely at that point. For another quickish move. Anyways, with all that said, I think it's going to wrap it up for now. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you on this lovely start to your Saturday morning weekend, and I'll be back on later with some more video content most likely, and back on tomorrow with some more videos in general. There we go. Anyways, as always, want to wish you well. Take care and see you soon.